Hello and welcome to the program One on One with Enoch. And today, as always, we are privileged to have the man, the investigative general, the man we call the vociferous journalist, Kwaku Annan, ace investigative journalist, a man with many talents. He's my guest today on Enoch Connect, and this show is going to be aired on the Frontline show that is on CTV. That is a Frontline show on CTV. So make a date and don't be late when the time is right. Do listen and subscribe to Frontline Ghana online and also on the Hop TV. My name is Enoch Ijo. So grateful that you've made time. We're going to be discussing issues of local, national, and international importance with regards to these prophecies that happened. Interestingly, all the prophecies that came up, none of them prophesy about Kwaku Annan, considering how he's vociferous. I was expecting to hear something about him, but I didn't hear anything like that. And also, with what is happening with the Venezuelan president and other matters arising. So it's going to be a packed show. This is the new year of our Lord 2026. Grateful that we have the man Kwaku Annan. Okay?
Yes, sir.
I'll put him to the name.
I'm on for say.
Now they're actually you don't yeah, now don't you? Yeah. Don't know it. More official popping.
I've been commenting about friends saying yet in compile.
Yes, for our very viewer on Frontline YouTube channel no Bonnie Mayena Obiana Yawe. By Frontline Ghana.
Sure, this program is also live on the Frontline Ghana and my CTV GH.
Very good. Okay. Very good. So one subscribe now. Bob Empire now. One subscribe also to the Hop TV. Kwaku, yeah, best in some way Queen Bambia Wakodo now minimum there. Be best in some umupa in the day able go. Now so the able so mobile or the asundry baba. Na Obiala shwe. Name na what nyamasi. Let's begin with Oye 31st in Council for Kodi.
Yeah.
We say Black Stars Oboko finals. When two man can we say was some common why there Ajum baby in a way also Oboko finals. As whether quarter finals or semi finals or finals to 161 council Oboko finals. We say Black Stars won't do baby akra. We say some paying Fubian Shino Bon will be so who jetta na Bobby Damison Huninia Kokodo 31st night. What in Kano, don't prophecies in Bia for our show, man.
Great one.
But I am number one of the family.
Yes. Sir, what's in a casa Good one. Okay. To start with, my greetings to listeners and viewers of Hop TV, the Frontline Ghana, and my CTVGH. All these networks in Amichicha, viewers and listeners are more senior. Yes. Mekase, Sa and come share. Basa we a free actofo nada and the brabafo kushifo thieves and criminals and rogues, rats, ragamuffins, matete bebre na obi nipa bi sane bi amane. Nam say na wo sane amane say say obi say wo kan na so me kan a eno na da ho mamu tietie no because for me I will not understand for one reason. Why a nation, a sovereign nation like this, nowhere in the world, I repeat, nowhere in the world, a civilized nation would allow the citizens to consume such a gullible information almost at what and at what cost and at what benefit. But then the ultimate goal to this, all right, the ultimate goal to this, the commentators of this, is to allow the citizens to what? To consume this sickness, to consume this ailment, and to consume something that is as a heavy detriment to their health, to their lifestyle, and then to their well-being. Then the question remains: if this is the order, again, it begs the question: what will be the fundamental role in terms of the people living up to livelihood and to be able to do well? And not a buying any memo, say they are buying a baby mukras or be creating an endowment for the people who are not buying them. But the government, has allowed a group of miscreants and charlatans, good for nothing fools, simply to work on the minds of the people and destroy them fundamentally. It answer na buy no crab be so ba be ye bibia mom no kra no. Na sankrofo no, na government na allow this group of people say monko say your citizens and destroy them for want of their own peculiar interest. Then I say anything, didn't mean who be the baby out. I stand to be corrected, but not necessarily to be corrected, because in this small global world way. In fact, in any civilized nation, where, how? Ali. Anyway, the next question.
Nti Obi Baby said that dam and come about 31st. I hand the pan at ya who drew.
Mr. J, me say me war even one. But no a recycle prophecies we had, and I'll tell you why. Some of these prophecies we had it a year ago, and so what they fail doing is to just recycle these prophecies and again bring it to let it surface 2026. That's all there is to it. Now, I'll not go too far enough than to focus on one that perhaps maybe is all the best show I don't know. The self-styled, self-acclaimed, self-imposed, notorious Owusubemba. Now, who prophesy say Obibiwa and when come here? Somebody is going to die. Is this a prophecy? But then again, fundamentally, we know death is inevitable, and death is part of humanity created by God. Only God can me. Now, you be departed for assassins. In the Nippon of assassins, it doesn't matter when the time, whichever way it is. See, other religious groups and it is the Muslims, one of a unique calling of God. They never send you. Adena mudi owo na iwia enti bawo tio se enipa ne nwu ya prophet ne baka se o me na me bomb pa enti ne wu
nsa dem na baka wa bad situation no
nipa no wu a anyame asem na abem e dey nkwase asem be no where I mean civilized country then yes anyway and your government upon government still seem incapable of reversing this stupid dirty trend. They continue to allow this to proceed and to go on, even under the Fourth Republican Constitution, 33 years, but still remain. Is the government not being reasonable enough? Is the government's consciousness seared? Or what is wrong with them? At least.
Ma oyo muhune de wa enda mi twa no but ma oyo muhune de debian 31st nkotin na wan honhom konkron no ohun nyama awan na menta ase no do otwena busumi nia ma otwom then 31st night no ina sunsun konkron ni san awan menta ase set ase so ma menta ase
me menta ase ena me pese menta ase ena menta ase nso a enyi astem ni nani. I see, Kofi, these religious overtures must be forced out of the system, and we must eradicate it and do it quickly. So, program way can be in full BTA. Not from the face, we can some a group of journalists to be one way of life to always and at all times want to crusade. And certain religious bodies like the Christian fraternity now, others say Christian fraternity now. I almost say more because me free me who say a Muslim cleric be could baby shankom. And me who say the traditionalist. I the cat are conform as if we to baby
Buddhist be and I have Christian
the many religious groups like what the Gnostics, the Buddhists, the Baha'is, any among count baby I am Christo some way pet, and gaining that notoriety, and gaining that idiosyncrasy. This is our way of life. I know we can't be seen with the only time that the God they worship can only speak and speak only on 31st December. It is the government in Benin here. I believe that a time it's one one too many, and time is overdue. And we are even running out of time that they need to work at this one, clear this one, raise it up, destroy it, crush it, and crush it with the speed of being light. Like what we are seeing, and again, we've said this before. Even one of the African countries here, Rwanda, Rwanda, the capital, Kigali, Papa Isu Paul
Kagame, yeah.
Oh yes, I do. Mapani Emma said it. A Jimmy for me lunatics and more for me Jimmy for foolish men of God. These are about the John. No, my is I did know when. They now a Christopher, no Bible man. Bible now provisions are more now. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 8. What do you call? And son of what? But Zechariah chapter 13 verse 4, 5, 6, 7. Now so there are provisions. What they are more. As uncle for him, every ba woman now bet to tell mania for reading. Why you may say mipom in Miam or Doto Mirika? What friend will say, prophet or catch us? No, please, I'm not a prophet. Na me name me hwe me papa enwan bia ana say cows bi omgo na me hwe then one say sasemu no be can why because the Bible says so.
Interesting. Still listening to Kwaku Annan on 101 with Enoch, and as Riley said, it's on my CTVGH Frontline Ghana and also on the Hawk TV. Kwaku, yanshe abenti our friend oye Ebo Noah. Ebo Noah. Atinizin.
Correct.
Okay. Now Ebo Noah enya no ye mugatete no onsamen. I also a content creator, don't know what I can. He is also a prophet or a day. But Anthony Antwenchen. Okay, kada or baby in Subi Bay in time that not do to no one in Suri Bay into Osi Ako or ye and I mean away. Each time to do now if you're called by them than coaching. Need say before no by and go panafo Savado. If you're about them done in easy. Watch our bent yatum. The people say, oh, that's how I know content, listen and watching you too. We create fear and panic, but found but down but then and walk again. Now, me put a Vienna that showed why I say, oh, too much new to ma, them 31st prophet if you are not one in them because a bono one as or ye, who need danger too much as compared to Bia, Utum Casam, we may show, go because to the boa, oh yeah, at the kito. Now, these people in here one in them home. Inti yenshe ebono wano kono ofada wachene Adam Brakwando. That's what Adam Brakwando abandon and Brenna Yujmo on the site. Now add that at the first fee one in a more.
You know why? That's the way. It would have been a questioner as he had directed the command, the Inspector General of Police.
Okay.
Dr. C.O.P. Yehonu. Tete Yehonu. The second one, go to Minister of Information. You're very simple. Mubarak. And I think also, so these are the law enforcement agencies. Now, we extend it to the judicial system where the laws have been have been enacted, have been implemented. Because our judicial system would take the law and then crack the law depending who is before the law. Staff 3 organogram institutions we must be questioned. Now, no, maybe say civil society groups. Civil society groups are more Ghana. Kofi me catch wa. Every day obenya final. Shada na Google. How many civil societies do we have here in Ghana? This small nation country. Your population in Venezuela almost the same. Right? Natural civil societies you go you don't know why I'm saying. If it is as civil societies, a drummer bang pan and what is our name at all time. You are crusading on how Ghana would get its ass well put together, shake together, run over. About what? Politics, any democracy, and then you see, as sin say, Ghana's democracy, say this almost civil society about Bekendi Manai Young. And Ghana and Nekasi saying, there are so many confrontational issues at Dawa. As I said, civil society say, what do we need action? Because a deal my name almost is your the monies, the kind of saying, talk about them. Plenty. But see, someone no, but your man no mudio. Now, a bono was somehow didn't buy. Some rano, etchino, Munian, Trin woman, and news you as yes, sir. Nase, Bonoa, or better, Puma, non, water, Puma. It sounds like Oko Kinkai, Yawam Rani Bibri, and Rani Bibri Oko Kinkai 1963. Law said, it was enacted during the British era. All right, and Wohonamo, Oko Kinkai, for example, the criminal code established by the PNDC law, and also a 1992 constitution. Nina articles na Mama 3 areas of where the laws of this country fundamentally prohibit these
kind of behaviors now.
Men claiming to be prophesying and saying that God has spoken to them on one ear to come and tell us this. All of this, even NCA Act now. And also, so a woman said all of this comes under what we call charlatanic advert. Anything so that comes on the heels of, say, a critique hypnotism, falsification, eventually leading to that of what? Creating fear and panic. And also it's against the law. So Ebonowa notwithstanding, and that's of this self-style, we should be no one more prophesying now. By this time, the laws of this nation has bundled all of them, crush them, and let them go to jail and spend more time than even Mami Agrada. Mami Agrada, adverts Ben a mantis and she was one person who was caught. Did all kinds of charlatanic adverts. Net Ghana Mrenimo. No meaning said, I don't know why. Yeah, can say Kofi Ejiri. Yes, go to NCA and let them pull the list and check all the television channels now winning. The television channels are winning, including the active ones being used by renowned media houses. Konako check it. These self-style pastors, prophets and bishops, abe critique abe airtime war. That do say at odd hours and omoye and running charlatanic adverts we bra me double sika we ama we see me say. Then the most regrettable part is self-style men of God we aqua channels ni nara making governments upon governments of this party, including some George or Tosi aware. Say channels ni nara are control now within the spectrum in the hands of self-style men of God. Nakofi ade omode and onyankopon pe no nimo ade a omode side we omode ye dangerous very serious the Rebecca said so my ye bi kra no a it is time for us to call a seizure. Now we need to sanitize this country.
Absolutely.
We need to sanitize it. Please, okay? The welfare, the well-being, and the forwardness of this country will not, cannot, and may not dwell on allowing these bunch of crooks, animals, thieves, and useless men of God to come and control your national channels, and be what? Prophesying to people, lying to people, and causing confusion among many Ghanaian families here and there. Every year, what is the meaning of that? Why? When you actually have law, it cannot be on the shoulders of say, oh, Ghana is a secular state, therefore you are now a secular state, and who say your mind, you are destroying the social fundamental fiber of the nation. By the time you be through with it, last year, some 2025, a brand helicopter crash here in a matter of hours, 72 hours thereof. Nation Nipa, self-star, who see basa useless and massive. I have no excuse. Oh, please, excuse my word. I have no excuse for them. At a point, then I realized, now President Mahama, it was a so then, it then surfaced though like a decree. And one of his men, Elvis Fuyanka, and yet in taking that position, he said all prophecy be a person de babyano. on fan call. And then no, Abam Adewi, I say a disappear. Yes, sir.
Na the office no crown no be no crown no. Na save you woman me opinion yan se biani. There. Me just the be office for what?
Because I say is by extension you are allowing this stupidity continue to ride on the shoulders of
the because that was a time and the period that obi buy your back each one day. Obotumi nyan dam kofu ewu na obotumi nyan one. You see once you open that kind of door no, all this kind of kofu nya baba system ni. Exactly. It's like you put the master man. Then you fight him. Yes. I took for far too long, but maybe I make answer no so na me the mama say, India. The politicians, this bunch of useless politicians are who may rule the fourth Republican Constitution for 33 years. We are yet to me. They need these your charlatans, and these charlatans also need them. I don't need the animal canon. Because why? Most of these men of God, for the fact is that they control crowd. And Tomofe said no, they can any time and when it is time for elections, they go hide behind some of these men of God. It's a war members who TSRO or Modiana members no mere day, woman to Abama. Why? I often one or soft one and 77 radius. VHS crowd will see ya and the Nala Braca. We see who. But see, I'm putting a one nimshi, ni pafonsa, or nimshi. Na politician at Wako school means it is in this global world way. Yeah, here's our spirituality in your way. And your common sense, keke. Do what the people want, and the people will just give you power. For the people to renew your mandate, that's not and cannot stand on the altar of spirituality. No. But no mugusa answer. And so the baby na me boba winim. So kwa. When omo fast wa omo yes spiritual nyoma omo de dom begu o masoro Yankopon penin no eno so ya very interesting for another day. Very interesting pa.
Na politicians need omo ti yo into omo wie ya pe na politicians ni win it.
And you know this in the Christian council now one me who I really don't me look, I'm confused about a whole lot of things. So
yeah, one among such men of God are on Pesadi way. Just after 31st, we announced the 31st crown or years out. So shape the way and manner he has lashed out, on his own men of God. Some of his own men of God.
Oh yeah, I've watched the tape. Yes, I have.
It's so unique.
Oh, kind of perfect.
Not the first time or yes, I do it. After I say or yes, I don't know. You see, and I love it such that when some of these men also join, the train, say, yes, crashes maybe may she share a leader, leader no, because obenya that alacrity and that prowess. No beba, no oba, or the emra Ghana mrano a cassetia sadino, or the basic who say bam, the only first time as I do with VC or Ghana, the ex-wa Inspector General of
Police,
a kufu dampare, and all the visa beto wa, then fan say, and no sad time, Obekaya say ye ne 31st and be hwe nkomita ebinim chicken obisi ono ni Ghana asase so the laws cannot find him wanting and some just say inkwasem bebre inkwasem na doso Ghanaians be ye ka Ghana ni awutie maintain just like that we can all form cell unit kakran ni kwintia saade no ukwako two way. In the global south where development dimirika in the global east north mirika na wo mo prediako na wo your men of God abwabwa nipo we ahye demo na wo ye here baba ikikoma gadusa iko braka ko
lekusu what is the meaning of oh my word one with Kwaku Annan, always interested having this beautiful conversation with the vociferous general. I call him the legendary Kwaku Annan. Continue, please.
What is lekusu?
Oh, bete pa lekusu. Ma just But you see, Mr. Ibudo were not demina. Because all these 31st prophecy and more. I maintain one I say why we said even though you try your best possible to give a detailed explanation, but said I'm not there. What's up, can not penny baby fat?
I tend to agree with you.
So we're not penny baby fat.
if the likes of the Usubempes and whatnot who prophesy lifestyle prophecy, lifestyle, and it's as equal as no one. But you see, no one again. The AMA law enforcement for face the Omujina Sudan say a drawback as quite a number of people from neighboring countries and beyond. And no, a bit disturbing, pretty much disturbing. Was again being on us for.
I don't know, make it. I'm coming to that. Is this Ghana Hana Yewo?
Yeah,
and I grada. Sisika Garos and Kofu fuck from a him fan Jessica Qued or Kadan to 300 Ghana, or come in 30 million and not 300 million. Mokita 300 million, or come in 30 billion. What quite, my Miss Camunia, Fefe. Ghana Hana Yewo, I've been to your friend Dr. Ewan. I check Kraba now. They are the people who speak of Parliament. J. A chunda party, Ayazano Biala, Uyi Fini Page, Nazi, or Chakraba feeding bottle, Nina, Chichen, Nina, Yazi. Ghana Hana is answer, and I bent to Noah. Tisawaka Kuku Samson and Usubu persisting in Mubu Buddha. So, question maybe Sunday, the Lancaster Ghana footing in food bindom. Not other neighboring countries or no, but the pan show home. Yes, you may blame themselves star for prophet Nazi. Timmy food about the pan or who impedis in our Juna bet someone will get no content back as some. Never JD, na Alpha card in them brea you woman. Them you mean you able to see.
Yeah, fundamentally, there is something that is wrong with the mind of these people of color. This people of color, and I mean people of color that are black people before, Adibiha beginning right from the day and suddenly developing in the middle of the centuries. So no, it's all kind histories in what Ube said. Christianity rolled to the corridors of Africa 15 centuries ago. Came, dropped the Bible, and that ritual exchange in Nazareth, and after that, they just went away. And again, when we all know, yes, when they came, the black people actually knew God already and what we're doing. And again, there was also the black man's fear for the fact that God exists and therefore we must do things and do them right. It was only when the Europeans introduced their God who looks like them, not like us. Okay? And all the features about their God, who apparently was described to be a fine man, and then they describe evil to be that of us black people with a horn and a tail, no problem. And then the black man consumed this philosophy. Now, having consumed this philosophy going forward, they made us again feel inferior and to understand that this is our way forward. Right then, they started building churches and whatnot, including then after the church simply became a special purpose vehicle. Right from there came the transporting black people. By that time, Kofi, they have consumed, manipulated, and I've said this constantly over and over, that be more mindful of the man who uses a message to conjure message, control your mind, your subconscious, cerebrum, and lower you down, and derail you out of your confidence and your ability to be able to rise to whatever. Because for it is the mind we serve the Lord, and the mind is the battleground. So they constantly stood on our minds. They brainwashed us badly that this word constantly being used. It's true. Gradually, then we have to accept and buy into their conceptualization of religion. They succeeded in any way, and it's been over what? It's been over several thousand years ago. Even if you do the calculation from 15th century and now, that's if you do the mathematics, the subtraction from 15th century and now 21st century, the subtraction, what is it? It's about 6 centuries Christianity has been. Question remains: what fundamental impact has it made? Make on us? Nothing, zero. It's all what retrogression, and so you can see the demeanor of the black person so low in IQ, low in confidence, low in self-esteem, and low in everything. But the black man, I will tell you, if you study the ancient Egypt philosophy, we were the first people to construct. We were the first physicians. We were the first to study astrology and astronomy, eschatologists and esoterics. We were made in a special way. So right then, guess what then happened? Then they started transporting us to the Western world, the Caribbeans and other places through their special purpose vehicle called Christianity. And which church began the transportation? It was the what? The Church of England, presided by who? The Queen of England. Again, yasa. Asori kesia ne wu wiasia. Ese boni pa obane. Ne a Church of England. Church of England. Ene tu sana mono first. Now, baby, Sassentinia, me soon a modiba me yasmo yankopon, and I'm best society a quayanqua. Namuri modio or some side share Namoka. No. Black man has been made simply not to look for any wealth and any good stuff, including golden. But you are made to understand that the gold, the diamonds, and whatnot is up in the heavens, and so therefore, okay. This was also orchestrated by another King Leopold of Belgium. In 1835 or so. The people of Congo destroyed the Congolese. He killed almost about 15,000 or more Congolese by way of trying to establish religious artifacts, religious whatever to the people of Congolese for. If it's a Shemwa, Bonia Christosum, Womudi African, Kofi Ejiri, a young president, Shemwa. And Jen say, now one of our own, yes, I Yankasi, Daniel, after 1838, our the abolition of slave trade. Now Yankasa said, no, one of our own, this is the media. Enku we ask na yankasa one of our own asan akono wakosa sade na bonini debate here no no akofa se ono nso de ba betie obeye sa de betie ono ani nya bibini nti da enone was style crooks, thieves, criminals, rogues, and more for asofo no mgukoma ebia mo hu bishops na na asefo obi team say they arise be strong and march forward, for it is the counsel of Jehovah that shall stand. Hey, stop it. Stop this with crooks. Bunch of thieves and crooks.
Oh my God. Too much in the power.
What do you mean say now? Rise, oh my soul, be strong and march. Why?
Oh my word. SFP.
And if security forces not
yes. My final question on this religious related issues is going to be on the fact that you being a vociferous broadcaster, one would have expected that some of these prophecies would be about you, but interestingly, none of them mentioned you. Does that surprise you?
Okay, but I wouldn't say prophecy though, but one of my adversaries, my adversary, who from nowhere surfaced in the blues. Now, on what can I send you to her and see a banner, okay. I quote, Kwaku Annan, the crashing. I wouldn't say there's a prophecy.
That's not a prophecy.
No. We a declaration. And we are only simply going to give the self-style of Usubemba. Winning, and not so as a maybe new. Nyan sapobia, Shadebia make Sasso for the GHS crowd, so Usubemba Yankodi. Now, so Kofi Udiagra, we are Professor Emeritus, whatever. When we saw back as I'm the tour, I ran to the Mecrashino. One for timelines and 1 more days, 1 more weeks, 1 more month, but also Mecrasho. In the 2 is here by any divine saying, Yamia Shishi Biato so Kwaku, saying the same Puna Betron is answering me Nipa. Sadly, P. Was anyway, about the country. I am making said, oh, yeah, examples be brave. So, no crash it. Mamia Grada wound to me.
Oh, that one for the
and when there is an available document, the prepare better church in quiet fast or wound to me called Jimmy Sika. If we the friends and the Exim Bank, no Kwaku says or the then or special purpose vehicle then or the coin, or the company or the coin. Now, why who were the top MPD people are not musicians? Among Koji scan, no one of these can be, including the former IGP. On a report, I would want to produce. What me producers are reporting, including allegations. I would want ye be Tiana on one cassa. what certain laws into his own hands are these allegations of killing, mass killings, including 7 Nigerians who were reportedly shot and killed. Including JB Dankwanumunya death. So produce on report. Which media na Aden Jomam no Yesu ni so obeshes animal na say papa no why we do many drink and things na osofo bi be jira so ba beje that ato no so ono no ye na wo no betimi a wo wusu dem pa na wo kasa ase nye dampare na ochi wutu mu eye offense cantonment police station na so wo tumi bi a ene na say wo ye to say wo di Elijah ye example say Elijah command sisire e ma no be fa nkura e ediko na de na wo no prison mon won't shout no prison doors in MBA near there. Now we share them in about 1 hour no we should pass started Johnson.
Oh, that one I will tell you.
No, I've said it before.
Yes, I know, but I wanted the end drop for.
We in Yankuponi Pao. Acts chapter 15, verse 16, 40. Paul net salas ne demo no. Woman la one ye dio keke. That the walls of the prisons, na me ade ni na no eden PPS. Was earthquake now who ye muti wona mo ye dede no or the hwan eba be or command system. Now the command nyaka ne nsebo a ono to na de bia o hye nkom se an MPP lose and na wo mudi team ni koma jata no na jata dem na fence lion no and a lion dem na odenchem sia kaka
anyway 101 quick sorry for some of the words
what is that
how we are with us 101 with quick and always on fire. I mean, forgive us. I mean, okay. Oh, my word. I believe you, the listener, the viewer, you're enjoying yourself, and this is the new edition on my CTV GH, my Frontline GH as well, or my Frontline Ghana, and also on the Hawk TV. Subscribe to all of these channels so that you get more, info. And that is enough for this very segment on religious related activities. The next is going to be on politics, then we go to international arena. But before I bring the part 2 of this, Bankasa Mission Gomde, oh yeah, Yibu Regenery, Ijole Bani Yeja Ketwa from Kukuni side, Ubuja, Iti Masham Comneri, Damanoti, or Bundo Baby Pepe. And I don't call him Huni there. Like Enankasa, Impa Yumude every year, Biano, then you may see, Sibu. Last year, young full way. I don't ever happen in another way. Disaster BBC, accident BBC. But oh, you rap for Fufayano. I change that. You was a MPB. Just so.
I don't know what to say about Professor.
So the Madia that I mean, who why impa anyway was no Biana Nadrin. No film Kakrebi. That is the end of the part 1. Let's look at the part 2. Politics no Yaya no Kakrebi. MPP mean room Kakrebi a part you can just brush it off and then we move to the end. But why there one politician be extremely dirty? Because if you look at the 90s, they do why you do sign someone how do you that kind of politics are at that time. I be even Akufo-Addo and Kufuor and Apreku and all those Next, the kind of internal politics works. Like very dirty. What is happening?
Kofi, what is happening? Is as what is happening and what you are capturing. And the NPP internal politics for me is one too many, and I am overwhelmed of what is happening. Again, taking a cue from all these personalities, women now have distinguished themselves colorful from body politicking. But now, women who are yes, many of them were not nowhere to be found.
True.
And the party was crawling, was gasping for breath.
Very true.
Needed people to work their ass off to put the party on shape. Except the Bionians. They're not sure. Yeah, Kanwa, Womunti, whoever said there is a future. Future be no. Nagana Nanka say any future. Who party no future. And they go be almost some men can be brave. They are sure in the next couple of days to come. That's it. Omoko control a flag bearer. Neboa. Woman flag bearer no. Woman flag bearer no. I still do not see MPP making any. I do not see MPP going for glory in 2028 elections.
Okay.
That's all. It's about picking up a leader. not one be leader and rally around the leader, and then another 4 years the same Mako. Yeah,
interesting. Anyway, we'll come to the NPP another time. Let's go to the NDC. Fifi Kwete also made a very strong, point, powerful point, calling those, guys who are, or the NDC members who are calling on President Mahama to go for the third term, calling the sycophants. Some harsh. You could see that he was very, very angry at the time when he was delivering his message. What is your opinion on the matter?
My opinion about Fifi Kwete's delivery, I guess it was on 31st. So they were commemorating the ideals of the former elite flight and Jerry John Rawlings. I don't like Fifi, but I love him.
You and I both. You and I both.
I love Fifi Kwete.
Trust me.
that bold delivery. That's all there is to it. And I know that at this time, Fifi Kwete has incurred the displeasure of many people within the party. But those people now why incur my displeasure now? Kofi Ejiri, they are the latter-day saints if one of maybe good party. My sister Kofi, my friend, the BBB your friend or BB alias Tony Edu something they or war. I'm a hobby. Did he Fifi Kwete at them? But I don't know for how long he thinks that he's been in the party. And if you've been in the party, and so what? You see, let the Fifi Kwetes speak the truth, speak well, and let Ghanaians and the global world also know that Ahindie enye a dynasty. Ahindie enye ebusiebi enhu anaye hun konkonko ene edidi ahindie. Ahindie enso ye nini se ene me Kwaku Annan menye baby ejina ana eno Kofi Ejiri enye baby no wa fre Kwaku abase ni apeni so de me be sure ye didia na ye kwa baby sa na dia ba stempo it is a Fifi Kwete bi na no akasa asem no I will tell you if Fifi Kwete sub-7 previous any ne kwa bia magana fo is Ejiri this is one of a million of Fifi Kwete's truth that we have ever and ever told. The NDC as a party, the NDC as a government, and the entire Ghanaian as a whole. Fifi Kwete cannot, will not, and may not be wrong. John Mahama, now you see, when Fifi Kwete said this, now see, Fifi Kwete has incurred some displeasure of some people. So then what it means is that behind the scenes, you not just say, an ambition beyond John Mahama to Uncle saying, Third term, uncle non family. But they are Ghana. Saying this is will come and take care of them because it's absolutely unknowing. These are some of the things that precipitating military insurrections and uprisings in many of the nations around Africa. Now, from last year, Aden, you the Akwaso sub-region Moana, Ghana no a country there and we see one more. We are a strategical and we are a nerve center and the epicenter of many of the the embodiments of African region. Right from what Kwame Nkrumah did, AU and then ECOWAS. Into Yankasana Yeton and Nimebia ACC Amayama Su Africa Yekutiano. We cannot be seen to be what? Actively being seen working or doing same. How? John Mamagas or call third term, not Ayeden. And no be free him for other way, Nasime Yade man. Why? To obey me sound my way more, including even the NDC, you say, Baby, bet me more. John Mama bet me, I do, obey my offer, moon of Ababe to Ghana. Ura, the time next soon, and obey an idiot, no the time as soon as so, as someone said. Why?
Interesting.
It's John Mahama repository of all knowledge and the goodwill of Ghana. I think I say that common sense will be new way for Tisa Ghana and Persia can do good nation. But and yet fair. And yet democracy is gradually failing, including the Western countries, all the powerful nations, including the world power. Democracy is about to fail. We check history. Democracy came in 1630. Democracy will take off. Ebe free and the football Besiaba. It's a move, me and fire will and shit democracy and opening the only means and the only elemental channels that lead to the success of nations around the world, including Ghana. Why? If you go to Bakana Waka.
If you quit Tibakana Wakano. Let's cross over to the international arena. The country that a lot of people call them the beacon of democracy, and others also many a time call them the almighty United States of America, invaded Venezuela. Share your matter on this, or share your opinion on this very matter. This is your show, so run it.
Good one. Well, mention seeing free say United States, yes, me I'm in for no. I'm a serious ally to the United States. But the US government, particularly the US foreign policy, they share or walk on the same line. Now, the case study or the very issues hovering around all the global news wires.
Okay.
And that's Venezuela. More informations are now emerging that COVID, this wasn't simply a military victory, Debbie. This was a catastrophic security failure.
Wow.
Of course, has been what with the Venezuelan leader and his bodyguard. No. The question everybody Abisane said. This is one of the things there. How did the United States pull this off? How did American special forces also penetrated one of the paranoia security apparatus in the Western Hemisphere? The answer those multiple sources, of course, from MSI side, have revealed some operations, and the answer is as old as what warfare that you and I know. The trail from within multiple intelligence are now confirming members of what Maduro's personal security detail, the men supposed to protect his life, and what take a bullet for him rather handed him over to the American forces.
Interesting.
Sure.
Very.
And Ubeshen says, these were elite bodyguards. One more else from pick a bullet for him, and of course also a lawyer to him, who were meant to take a bullet, rather, yet in the end, they did what? They took American dollars instead. And now, at a point from a certain intelligence source within the White House, about 1:45, not Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela, time, Maduro was at a secure location in the capital. Sources indicate that he was at one of the safe houses no question, baby, or one to avoid any assassination attempts. And may I say, the location changed frequently, except top-level military generals knew about those locations.
Okay.
So, you see, those Latin Americans or Hinfano, we are quite sharp people. They are close to America and they know most of America. Sometimes mischievous political games they play, luring them to all kinds of things, and eventually they take them down. Now, here the story takes its dramatic turn. When the U.S. forces arrived in, they were not to fight Kovi. They were not to fight. They just walked in. They just walked in the inner perimeter, and they told the bodyguards on which your friend is saying Maduro to stand down straight up. Now, security systems, cameras, alarms, and many other stuff were all were disabled. Alarms were deactivated, and when the U.S. forces reached Maduro's quarters, they found two bodyguards at post, and these men were immediately surrounded. Maduro, one of those such military drills. Only then to realize, the men in the uniform standing in his bedroom were not Venezuelan forces, but were U.S. Special Operation Force Delta. It's one of those special operations with his men. But in no time, Maduro came to realization that, of course, this is the moment of what? Betrayal. You can connect the dots and the T's to that of another military general in this country that you did a documentary on, who experienced same, and that is my General Echampo, who was betrayed by his chief of defense staff.
Defense, yes, and all his chiefs as well.
FW
Akufo, Wellington, and yeah, all those Palace School. Yeah.
When I'm doing the fast and Kofi Papa, they found 2 bodyguards at post, and these men immediately surround them without.
So before you continue, would you call it an internal coup kind of thing or a takeover?
Right.
Go on.
The bodyguards will not even fire a single shot. The entire extraction took approximately 12 minutes. And Maduro and his wife,
12 minutes.
Yes, were on board the U.S. fighter jet. By the time the Venezuelan defense minister woke up to the scene, the figure, the president himself, found out that the president was missing. The United States, fighter jets have crossed into the international airspace. So question, how did the United States manage to flip the Maduro's bodyguards? The answer lies in a sophisticated intelligence operation which began a year ago. The United States working through CIA and defense intelligence agencies, consistently been working around the bodyguards to figure out some vulnerabilities. Some vulnerabilities, saying six in the U.S. intelligence agencies, HMI Kwezu Omina. Bakukra de, onona memfa ne se neba, eho atochima kakra, womuntimi enye na operation e Venezuela ho. Nti na see a fly neba, the friend is saying United States. Nti based on the agreement, the U.S. intelligence agencies, CIA and defense intelligence agencies, any bodyguards in some form of agreement. And Kofi, mind you, is one of a crystal warfare fashionable by the United States. Say, anytime the U.S. would jump in and, pull their aggression towards a sovereign nation with their precision strike, by the time they will start and end, it has always been the fashion, say, it's an enemy within.
The enemy within.
It has always been that of what? An enemy within. And the enemy within has always been the fact. The overthrow of your first president was a case study we know now. How the CIA managed to topple Nkrumah. What was Nkrumah's crime? Nkrumah's crime was all about the fact that he tried to what? Pull an independence for the entire African region. That was Nkrumah's crime. Nobody I challenge any political scholar. Tell us, what is it that Nkrumah did that incurred the displeasure of the Western world? It was because he wanted to establish the total unity of Africa as a united Africa.
And that was not going to help the interest of US.
But then again, fundamentally, if the Western world also believe, say, they want the rest of the world to ride on their shoulder of so-called what? Their first world civilization of democracy, then would you therefore say what Nkrumah was doing was against democracy? How? How would that? Why would you say then what Nkrumah was doing was against democracy? No, but Americans have always believed in a certain philosophy and ideologicals that we come from this angle as well, self-interest seekers all the time. And then after that, we will never maintain any permanent friendship, whatever, because we believe in a certain interest that would inure to our benefit. We use a democracy as what? As a face mask, and to go in, lift up, destroy, and then we move away quietly. You have also, Mr. Jiri, you've also done a documentary on another nation where the Americans went there and caused a major havoc, and that's Iraq. All right? There is a parallel between Venezuela and Iraq. All right? Today, let's ask ourselves the questions. What is the current state, the geopolitics of Iraq within the region of the Arab world.
Very sad.
What is it like?
Very sad.
And that of her allies.
Libya and all those other Arabic countries.
Why? Is the movie, you know, in penny for more American men, one soldier from penny for to say, friends and Colin Powell, one of the finest military officer named Semper, a 5-star general, came to United Nations, the UN Security Council, and lied. Diatro, if you can trust it, Saddam Hussein possesses logical weapons. Logical weapons in Wahifa. Mube dada events International Atomic Agency IAEA for Omukoye then Ihu Ibia. And so still not George Bush etiho. He abused the US fundamental constitutional Article 1, which empowers the president to go to war abroad, which then says that any war be a president in Obekono. It must be approved overwhelming majority from Congress, just as Trump has also. And so look at the Americans, Nangasa dictators of democracy, how continuously using their own fundamental constitutional Article 1, which empowers the president to go to war abroad. Then again, you can also zero down to the UN Security Council Charter 1 and 2, which also endorses the supremacy of every nation around the world, must be respected in accordance with what? International law and diplomacy. Cuba, Venezuela. It makes sense to all and sundry. But I will tell you, sir, this is the playbook of Washington. And it has always been the playbook. The playbook of Washington will not stop today, tomorrow. This also tells us that the world order must be rewritten again. It must be rewritten. The next the world is about to face, even though still global scholars continue to, avoid this very analysis. Third World War is not imminent, but I foresee Third World War in that direction. Because in the case of Venezuela, now go down in terms of minerals and the Miniade. Venezuela controls what? The largest oil deposit. All nations around the world. Venezuela are saying over 300 billion barrels of crude oil. What it means is that combine Saudi Arabia and the United States, both oil reserves and still enroute even Venezuela for oil or more. That's the case. Again, China takes about 68% of Venezuelan oil. America takes, I think, 26%. So between China and the American, why are not standing the great chance of losing? It is China. Now, by any form of whatever, what do you think the global powers will be seen doing? They'll be shaking themselves, particularly China, because of how draw the oil issue. Now, make us say out of the 300 billion barrels, Venezuela and money only 1 million barrels per.
Wow.
1 million barrels per and or mining or refining. Now Venezuelan oils ubisa experts no make and also the hardest crude oil if you refine and easy a lot goes into it. Now some believe that intelligence reports be unity, but is one of it the US government in the first no also pushing. And of course, I'm so Mabe can put it down. Most of the American strategic oil companies, Shell, Enron, why. So Munkugu, no more cotton share oil, no so. Let's just say, wow, or more mining oil. No. But I will tell you that the pushback are airborne. So pushback way, if not properly managed, at your how can see ever be two areas.
Wow.
America's interest has always been enshrined in their ideologicals and their way of life. Iraq, say they want to bring civilization to Iraq. Civilization, what they call it. The people of Iraq were engaging in all sorts of lifestyle, night clubbing, sexual activities and so forth, which is extremely prohibited in the Sharia law because they are Muslims. Any friend saying the Shiites, any friend saying the Shiites, the Muslims, and then the other groups of war. America is so autonomous. American president from Nara Kofi Womudi ni bre akọ other nations so akọ toasho musina no. Predominantly have been Republicans. Check the circumstances under which U.S. to share Panama so clear why Noriega. Trace the background to Noriega. Noriega did a lot of work. Cocaine business with top U.S. defense and politicians, including some members found in the U.S. intelligence agency, the CIA, were doing cocaine with Noriega. Osha kwanya na cocaine is sneak differ through the defense and the Panama Canal. Ne enyasem ketwa. But guess what? America is using Noriega the SR. At the same time, no mabo Noriega swat was said that they will hoist Noriega as a military or a general of Panama. And one must send a crack. And some regime change, you know. Abaya the fashionable fascist kind of, you know, a playbook of Washington. And for me, I think that the U.S. government should see that it's outmoded. It's outmoded. Because consistently overthrowing constitutionally legitimate governments around the world. For me, it's untenable. In 1949, Kim Ko of Korea, opposition leader, U.S. CIA for a unit to form. In 1950, CIA neo-Nazi offense and hate list of more than 200 political figures in West Germany to be put out of the way. In 1950, Sukarno, president of Indonesia, 51 Kim II, the strong prime minister of North Korea, who you need to form. In 1953, Mohammed Mujahideen, prime minister of Iran, who you need to. In 1950, Claro M. Rakto, Philippines opposition leader. In 1955, Jawaharlal Nehru, Prime Minister of India. In 1957, Gamal Abdel Nasser, President of Egypt. In 1959-1950, Norodom Sihanouk, leader of Cambodia. 1960, Brigadier General Abdul Karim Qasim, leader of Iraq. 1950-1960, José Figueres, President of Costa Rica. 1961, Francis Papa Doc Duvalier, leader of
Haiti. Papa Diouf.
Okay, 1961, Patrice Lumumba, Prime Minister of Congo, Muyinisi form. 1961, General Raphael Chijalo, leader of Dominican Republic. The list goes on and on and on and on. Ovi, Adenti and America, Mube Genis and try it, you know. I don't think that is too good enough for the U.S. government. Much as some of us hold the U.S. in high esteem in terms of, you know, seeing America as the world power, and in terms of also seeing America as the global policing. I think that the policing are too much.
It's becoming too much.
Also too much. Because you see, you can say, nations around the world power, so Russia, and Ukraine, Ejina, Enye adi emujo America for one more JJ offense so Russia mun kakra in that diplomatic channels na man maybe I say near Rasputin or tete nyama say about and nkunu e wo wa no say no
na kakra be
obet mudi agra obet threaten nuclear warfare no so or the nuclear be mo na wi ase say nuclear is bomb. Let's say one, we have to atemuda no an yekom. And you see, we have Venezuela, the Alcoso, met the Americans in the way and I see it. She said, Omo believe it's a the charges of Mediama Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Yes, narco offense charges of
narcotic related, yeah.
Exactly. Including weaponry, the only wife respectively. Makes sense, it doesn't make sense. International law no exists saying. What does the international law say? Now, the US again also accuses him there. Ono wa empty the prisons. He has emptied his prisons and discharged all those narcotic prisons back into United States. And I said, offloading them from United States. The U.S. government also makes a report, still of course verifiable by what we are yet to. And they say, American government claims every year, Biano, will lose about 300 people or more. Not every year, it's a quarter or so. Oluzu, about 300 people dead, completely dead through what? Crack cocaine. And not just or shimwa. By statistics, so America crackers or cause civil war. It is not by any stretch of negligence that U.S. government is going to lose about 300 of its citizens or nationals through warfare. No. So why then America will sit down and allow their citizens to die through what? The exporting of cocaine from Venezuela to America, and therefore, or by cracking it down. But America, no, or the viewer they see or not.
Always there's an angle to whatever move that they make. Yeah.
America has a way of their proxy war. So, no, into proxy, behind the proxy, now we who say, no, Charlie, we need to oil and with oil is one. Indeed, I asked some Cassiana, Ekana Eba. Iraq, the map from with you.
But for this one, it looks like if there's going to be a pushback.
Yeah, map from where the Pearl Harbor, map from where the Ewa Hinfa, what's that? Vietnam, Vietnam, the damages in the catastrophe, U.S. government, and most so far, and Namnia. Obia Bob one, Obia Bob one. Indeed, I am still urging the world powers, and through diplomacy channels, and say, remember, Nyama, I a bit softer, and how Biana, and then it will see the skyrockets in oil, Namnia, the idea Ghana, so create a oil, ya move to a Venezuela, Western region, who says that Dodo was sending you to. Now, Dodo was sending the Abogana Hobra, including even the Western region. So the politicians are from Brabafu, criminals.
That's interesting.
You let it be they are condemning America and the fine.
I mean, very, very, very sad. But
Motor Ghana, Mama, a poodle of the United States. Ghana, they put why? If you allow your territorial airspace be, violated by the U.S. surveillance aircraft and more a Nigerian and any other kind of thing.
Thank you very much for this elaboration, this education. And like I said, this is your show, Run It, and you've done excellently well by delivering on this international related issue with Venezuela. Listener and viewer, one-on-one with Kwaku Annan, vociferous ace investigative journalist who happens to be running or who runs an investigative magazine show on CTV Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 to 10 p.m. Currently, the show is on break on TV, but it's still running online. My CTV GH and Frontline Ghana as well, and also on the Hawk TV. And what you're listening now is one-on-one with him. We've touched on some very important topics. We looked at some other interesting areas from religion to politics, now to this international related matter. My last question to you, Kwaku, and we have to do this briefly because of time. Is democracy a scam?
When you say a scam is an understatement.
Okay. What would you use for? What word would you use for democracy?
I don't even know the word I'll use, but democracy has failed the entire universe. Like I said, it was enacted in 1630 and it's about to phase off. Now, when you even check the United States, the Western world, our woman are the pace setters of democracy and the America facing between Trump and any adversaries. One typical example in the recent history. In the democracy, for me, nobody, Magana and Yanadrin say, oh, and a democracy in the Queen, Umunya Sans of the Ghana and democracy in practicing. No, you have a fraternities. Fraternity for classmates, schoolmates, and a fraternity can fraternity no a bit more than a fraternity no crano, NDC and MPP, or fraternities or more, but Jabaka's NDC and MPP or Mushia or Quamben, so even in terms of ideologies, but a fraternity in a Becca commune now, boom, or NDC and so would be or UD a MPP no more. When people be a Wendy, more beyond funding to the democracy, the year to my Debbie, a more school for classmates for old school, my dear son, Didi Demano, and the moving Cassie is here. any Western democracy, I've always said and maintained, until that Africa will be emancipated, no, the 3 or 4 fundamentals will be that Africa must coin her own one. Our democracy must epitomize, must elucidate, and must pivot on one, our ideologicals, and that's what our philosophy. Inculcating in this is what our source of religion, culture, our source of religion, culture, and our socio-economic and political outlook. And yet, embrace this foreign ideologicals we belong to the leftists and we belong to the rightists, both socialist and capitalism. Give it to them there, not here in Africa.
Thank you very much for your time. Well, viewer and listener, sorry for the background as well, because where we are is a holiday season, so we are somewhere. So whatever thing you hear in the background, never mind. Linear account also. Kwaku Annan and Atchon Como in the day or Hawk TV do my CTV is also on a front line. So I'm going to let Kwaku Annan give us the handles again, so that each and every person following will know when and where to subscribe. So Kwaku, you are the floor.
Great one. This program can be heard live. As far as my co-host Eno Kofi Ejiri is concerned, of course, today we're picking this great interview, great questions, and great dimensions of the other, both local and foreign politics. But this program can be heard live on my CTVGH and the Frontline Ghana, and of course the Hawk TV both. Of course, my listeners and viewers, as I say, Frontline will return to the screens on CTV very soon, and we are coming with the biggest expose here. The workers of iniquities. Of course, expose we will capture renowned men of God in this country. I repeat, renowned men in the body of Christ. The bonini, the money, medie, isikadie, the abuse of God's name. And the meade. And never me and son of Mekai, isikadie, abuse of God's name, medie.
I want to say no. Lady Minion. I really enjoyed this, Kwaku. So thank you so much for this very opportunity.
Welcome.
And thanks also for watching and doing the listening. Please do subscribe and share. And it's bye for now. Bye-bye.